Wintry weather is on the way, and we are keeping you in the loop as Bossier Schools monitors the situation. Hi, everybody. I'm Sonia Bales.
And I'm Jason Rowland. Thank you so much for joining us for this special episode of On the Record with Bossier Schools. It's Friday, January 23rd, and Bossier Parish and Bossier Schools, we are bracing for a potential dangerous weather event as we head into the weekend.
Yeah, Bossier Schools is actively working with the National Weather Service and emergency management officials in preparation for the arrival of the winter storm, which is expected to start sometime late tonight into tomorrow. That part, we're still trying to monitor. We've been participating in daily weather briefings with the National Weather Service as well as our local officials about coordination efforts. A winter weather warning takes effect at 6 o'clock this evening, and because of that, all school activities and operations are canceled throughout the parish of Bossier, Bossier Schools, as of that time and throughout the weekend.
So what do? We wait. If you can predict it, you can prepare for it, and you can maybe prevent some of the things that are happening. So there's a lot of things that go into play with what we're facing. A lot of information we gained yesterday. Meteorologists from the National Weather Service have given us a litany of information about what to expect, and then some comparisons back to 2021 that I thought was extremely helpful in assessing the things that happened around Bossier Schools then, and then the potential for what happens now. And so as we get into our discussion this morning, we want to be able to share some of those things, how that is comparing to what we've experienced in the past and the lessons we've learned. And one thing we can assure our audience and our community is we're going to be communicating, over communicating, if you will, and that expectation will be at 4 o'clock just about every day with the exception of Saturday.
We thought this would be a good opportunity to be able to share some perspective with you about how the district goes about making its decisions and also answer some of the questions that may be on your mind. We certainly hear oftentimes whenever we are faced with winter weather events like this one. So, first off, why not go ahead and call it? I know that people want to know why we don't go ahead and cancel school on Monday.
Well, first of all, we live in Louisiana, and it could be 85 tomorrow.
That's true.
So the weather is, and that's tongue in cheek me saying that, but still, we feel fairly confident now about some of the things that are predicted. Let's keep in mind, people get excited about a snow day, right? A snow day and out of school. But a snow day and an ice day are two different spectrums. And so the ice is what we're really concerned about and the impact it has on the infrastructure, not only for our school system, but for our entire community.
Yeah. And that's a wide range, according to the meteorologist, of how much we could actually expect versus get. So that's part of the waiting game, just to see how much accumulation there is. Also, another question about bus transportation. How does that factor into our decision whether or not to have school?
Well, being basically by and large a rural parish, we have to consider a lot of the roads that our buses travel down on. So a lot of the roads are covered with trees, or they may be not covered with trees, but they're in the shade. And so the opportunity for a thaw sometimes prevents us from doing things as fast as we want to. In the city, we may see things that are just clean and clear, but we got to also consider what happens with all the roads that all of our fleet may travel each and every day.
You bring up a really good question because during 2021, Snowmageddon, I think is what it ended up being called, those rural roads did remain icy. We had thawed out, we had sun, and people were out and about within Bossier City, if you will. So is it all for one for all as far as reopening our schools, or could we potentially look at some of those schools in the rural areas not reopening when the ones within the city do?
Absolutely. We have in the past allowed for partial openings where we can. We want to get as many kids back into school as possible, but the main thing, and we talk about this across the board, safety is the priority for Bossier Schools. And so if there's any chance that we're going to put somebody in jeopardy, a child in jeopardy, we just refuse to take that chance. The Snowmageddon was different. Snowmageddon was sleet, snow, pause, snow, sleet, snow, sleet. So it was, and that's different than ice. And as we learned yesterday, a third of an inch of ice is crippling.
Yes, it is, especially on our power lines.
Yeah, especially on our ability to maintain electricity. A half inch to an inch of ice, as they said, air quote, could be catastrophic. So we're not wanting to scare anyone, but let's, again, if we can predict it, we can prepare for it, and hopefully we can prevent some of the challenges that we face from an ice storm.
So let's talk a little bit about how Bossier Schools is preparing to hopefully prevent any sort of power outages, but also burst water pipes.
Well, that's been a topic of discussion, even as driving up this morning. We're still looking at, we have a wide variety of aged schools in our system. Schools built in the 50s, built in the 60s, all the way up to our most recent schools that are built. Some of our older schools are able to handle some of this a little bit better even than the newer built schools. So the concerns we have is for exterior pipes that that provide water to the school. Those are a challenge. So we're going to look at either turning some water off where we can. The only problem with that is you have to maintain fire sprinkler systems within your schools, and so that's a challenge in of itself of trying to find that sweet spot of where we can turn water off and where we can't turn water off. So we're going to be monitoring that as best as we can as long as we have power. We've looked at a lot of different things to drain as much as we can from our exterior ball fields around our campuses, drain those pipes as best we can, get that taken care of today. We're making a to-do list right now for principals and assistant principals to do by the time they leave today as far as things that are plugged into the walls. We want to just have a total shutdown. The last thing we need to do is to have a flood, still have power, have a pipe burst in the ceiling, and then that comes up and we have a spark and then we have a fire. So there's a lot to do today, a lot of things to think about, a lot of things we've been thinking about and discussing this morning to try to give us the best chance to return to school as soon as possible.
Yeah. I know that our custodial and maintenance crews are certainly staying busy, kind of moving ceiling tiles at the end of the school day just to allow some of that warm air to circulate. I guess we drip faucets, some of those different things that, most anybody knows to do.
Open cabinet doors,
Yeah.
try to let heat get into all those where you may have pipes. If the temperatures drop though to where, the National Weather Service is saying 5 and 7, 5 Sunday night, Monday morning, 7 Monday night, Tuesday morning, even the most preventative measures that we have cannot withhold or do not stand up to some of those temperatures. It's just too cold. I remember in the 80s when the Red River froze. Well, it was 6 degrees. Well, guess what? We're headed.
We're looking at that.
We're looking at that again.
And that's not just wind chill, that's the actual temperature that they're talking
no
about.
doubt.
So let's talk a little bit about once we start thawing out and assuming that our schools do have power, will we resume normal operations if power outages remain, I guess, throughout the parish, particularly, among our residences?
Well, just because the roads are clear doesn't mean that we're going to be able to immediately open. So we have to do a thorough assessment of any type of water damage, electrical issues. There's a lot of things that go into something after an ice storm. Again, I cannot emphasize enough, this is different from 2021. Some of our viewers I don't know if you remember back to 1994, but this is the last time we've had a significant, serious ice event, and it was very difficult and hard on Bossier Schools. And that's 30 plus years ago, and think how far we've come now with a lot of the advantages that we have to know what's going to happen, so we can prepare. So this is as they referenced yesterday, this could be a historical event.
So we all have to take it very, very seriously and prepare. One more question, and I know that people are already asking this, they ask it every time. We have snow days, I guess you could call them snow days, built into the school calendar. How many days could we actually miss before students have to make those up?
We have, I believe it's 2.79 days built into the calendar already. And you may say 0.7. Well, the school day is based off of minutes. And so a school day that we would, and how we organize a school day is strictly built off of that. And so there's so many minutes you have to accumulate into a year. So we look at that. And that's not our primary concern right now. We have some days there that we have built in, but there are other things that we can do to make sure we recapture the minutes in case we go beyond that 2.79. So that's all part of the post-storm things that we'll have to take into account, and we can look at that in the back end in May when we're not worried about ice storms.
Where we would actually just add a few minutes each day to, the day, right?
Right.
Yeah, and not have to make up full days or so.
Yes, ma'am.
I tell you what, this was great insight, and I'm sure that helped answer a lot of questions for our parents. Anything else that you want to be able to expand on? Or?
We just want to remind our parents and our community, we will be sending out communication at 4:00. Sonia does a great job of doing this. She'll have prepared statements that push information about what to expect from Bossier Schools. I was on the phone this morning with a judge, and by and large, a lot of our community revolves around what our school system does. Sure. And in fact, he said to me, Jason, 80% of what we do is based off what Bossier Schools does. So we recognize the importance of schools being open and getting kids in school. That's our number one mission. But the priority over the mission is the safety of our students, our staff, and our community. And that's how we go about making our decision. That's our pledge to you. We're going to communicate, let you know what's going on. Hopefully there's no one that has to ask a single question, because at 4:00 they can expect Bossier Schools to release information that's critical to what's happening next.
So the best way to get that information is to, first of all, download Bossier Schools District app if you have not already. It is your official source of information for all things related to Bossier Schools. Just go to your app store. It's good for Android as well as iPhones. Search for Bossier Schools, then select personalized notifications when prompted. You're going to select Bossier Schools to ensure that you receive district updates, and then be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss important information that we are going to be sending out. And again, as you mentioned, that next communication is going to come out at 4 p.m. Sunday.
I want to say we have an incredible staff that works extremely hard, and oftentimes our maintenance department, they'll go into situations that may not be in their best interest, but they'll do it for the good of Bossier Schools. But our team is outstanding, and we are working diligently to ensure that we can do all we can do to prepare for what's coming. And then as quickly as it passes, we immediately begin to work to see what all damage, to assess the damage, to correct the damage, and then try to expedite the process to where we can get our kids back in school.
Yeah, they do a tremendous job because they're out and about in the elements, if you will, trying to mitigate a lot of things, and kudos to them. We also want to encourage you to be prepared as we all weather this winter storm together. Take this opportunity to charge your phone, charge all of your devices, to make sure that you get emergency notifications as well as public service announcements. In fact, if you've already not already signed up for Everbridge, which is the Bossier Parish Police Jury notification system, this is a really good time to do that as well. Also, have plenty of warm blankets handy just in case the electricity goes out. Have plenty of water available to drink, and also to be able to force flush toilets if your pipes happen to burst at home. And please stay off the roads. Don't travel, if at all possible, until we are all given the all clear that it is safe to drive.
Also, if you have a generator at your home, please stop by today and get as much gasoline as you can, just in case the power goes out. I was so glad to hear that SWEPCO already has 2,000 linemen and arborists that are on the ground in Bossier Parish. We help out our partners in the South a lot during hurricane season, and it's so good to see that they've already landed here in the Shreveport-Bossier area, ready to assist in the event that we do have power problems. your child's safety is our ultimate goal, and that's what we want to make sure that we communicate to our families and our community. That is our top priority. We encourage you to stay safe. We appreciate your continued support. If you haven't done so at this time, now's the perfect time to really like and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on just about every podcast platform there is. We want to encourage you to be a part of what we're doing for events just like this, special episodes where we're trying to communicate as much as we can what's going to happen around Bossier Schools. So thank you for tuning in and thank you for watching.
We hope that you will stay warm, stay safe, and we will see you again at 4 p.m. on Sunday with communication from Bossier Schools.
This has been a Bossier Schools production. Join us next time when we go On the Record with Bossier Schools.